Are you eating what you believe is a healthy diet, yet still feeling tired, inflamed, gaining weight, or watching your health slowly drift in the wrong direction? What if I told you that the foods most people associate with longevity aren't the real reason some populations live well past 100, sharp minded, energetic, and disease resistant? Here's what's really going on inside your body. Longevity is not about a single superfood, a supplement stack, or a trendy diet. It's about how your daily food choices interact with your metabolism, your immune system, and your body's built in repair mechanisms. And that insight didn't come from influencers or diet books. It came from Nobel Prize winning science. Over the last several decades, Nobel winning researchers studying aging, cellular stress, and disease resistance uncovered something surprising. The longest living people on Earth don't eat more. They eat strategically. Their diets quietly activate internal survival pathways that lower inflammation, stabilize insulin, protect DNA, and keep blood vessels young. This matters because aging is not just about the passage of time. It's about accumulated metabolic damage. Chronically high insulin, constant inflammation, oxidative stress, and a sluggish immune system quietly accelerate aging long before wrinkles or diagnoses appear. Fix those root causes, and the body does something remarkable. It repairs itself. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your body like a high-performance hybrid engine. It can run on different fuel sources, but it performs best when it switches efficiently between them. Most modern diets force the engine to run in one inefficient mode all the time: sugar burning, inflammation promoting, repair inhibiting. Longevity-focused eating flips that switch back and forth in a way that keeps the system clean, flexible, and resilient. What the research shows is that certain everyday foods, not exotic, not expensive, send powerful signals to your cells. These signals turn on longevity genes, strengthen your immune defenses, improve insulin sensitivity, and reduce the biological wear and tear that leads to heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and cognitive decline. And here's the twist. These foods are often not what people expect. It's not about eating more protein shakes, more health bars, or constantly snacking. In fact, some of the most powerful longevity foods work precisely because they create brief, healthy stress inside the body, the kind that makes you stronger, not weaker. In this video, I'm going to break down 6 science-backed insights drawn from Nobel Prize-winning discoveries and modern metabolic research. You'll learn what to eat daily, why timing matters just as much as food choice, and how to activate your body's natural longevity programs without medications or extreme diets. And if this kind of root cause science-first health education is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I share content like this every day to help you take control of your long-term health naturally. Here's what's really going on inside your body, and this is where most people get longevity completely backwards. For decades, we were told that living longer was about eating perfect foods more often, keeping blood sugar constantly stable, and avoiding anything that felt like stress. But Nobel Prize-winning research revealed something radically different. Your cells don't get younger when life is easy. They get younger when they're challenged just enough. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body as a city. Every day, waste builds up. Damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, broken cellular parts. If the garbage trucks stop running, the city doesn't collapse overnight. But over time, everything slows down, inflammation rises, and systems fail. Aging works the same way. That cellular cleanup system is called autophagy, and in 2016, Dr. Yoshinori Osumi was awarded the Nobel Prize for uncovering how this process works. What the research shows is that autophagy is one of the most powerful anti-aging mechanisms we have. It recycles damaged components, improves metabolic efficiency, and protects against cancer, neurodegeneration, and immune decline. Here's the key point most people miss. Autophagy does not turn on when you're constantly eating. Every time you eat, even healthy food, insulin rises. Insulin tells your body, we're in growth mode. Growth is important, but constant growth without cleanup accelerates aging. Think of it as always building new rooms onto a house without ever repairing the foundation. Autophagy turns on when insulin drops and energy intake pauses during fasting windows, overnight, or when meals are strategically spaced. Now, this doesn't mean starvation, it means intentional gaps. Long-lived populations, like those studied in Okinawa and Sardinia, didn't snack all day. They ate simple meals, stopped eating before they were full, and gave their bodies long overnight breaks. Without knowing the word autophagy, they were activating it daily. Here's a practical protocol you can actually use. Start with a 12-14-hour overnight fasting window dinner at 7 p.m., breakfast at 9 a.m. This alone begins activating cellular cleanup. Avoid late-night eating. Late meals. Keep insulin elevated when your body should be repairing tissue and regulating hormones like melatonin and growth hormone. Keep morning meals protein forward, not sugar forward. This stabilizes insulin and prevents shutting autophagy down too early in the day. Now let's connect this to longevity. Autophagy doesn't just clean cells, it improves mitochondrial efficiency, meaning your cells produce more energy with less damage. That translates to better focus, stronger muscles, healthier skin, and slower biological aging. This is why many people notice improved mental clarity and energy when they stop grazing all day. It's not magic, it's metabolism. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day, breaking complex longevity science into tools you can actually use. One more important nuance: exercise amplifies autophagy, especially resistance training and zone 2 cardio. Movement creates microscopic stress that tells the body we need to adapt. And adaptation is the foundation of youth. The takeaway from this section is simple but powerful. You don't live longer by eating more often. You live longer by giving your cells time to clean, repair, and reset. In the next section, we'll talk about a second Nobel-linked insight that shocks many people: why controlling insulin may matter more for longevity than calories, fat, or even genetics. Think of insulin as a storage hormone. Its job is to move nutrients out of your bloodstream and into tissues, muscle, liver, fat. That's essential for survival. But here's what the research shows. Chronically elevated insulin is one of the fastest ways to accelerate aging. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When insulin is high all day, from frequent meals, refined carbohydrates, or constant snacking, your cells stay locked in growth and storage mode. Growth mode sounds positive, but biologically it suppresses repair, increases inflammation, and drives oxidative stress. Over time, this contributes to insulin resistance, visceral fat accumulation, hormonal disruption, and faster cellular aging. This is why two people eating the same number of calories can age very differently. Longevity is not just about how much you eat, it's about how often insulin is triggered. Nobel Prize winning research on aging pathways like mTOR, AMPK, and insulin signaling shows a consistent pattern. Lower, well-timed insulin exposure is associated with longer lifespan across species: yeast, worms, mice, and humans. Let me simplify that. mTOR is your build and grow pathway. AMPK is your repair and recycle pathway. Insulin strongly activates mTOR. When mTOR is always on, AMPK never gets a chance to do its job. Aging accelerates. Now here's the misunderstanding. Most people try to fix this by obsessing over calories or eliminating fat. But the real lever is carbohydrate timing and food quality, not deprivation. Here's a practical protocol you can use immediately. Eat carbohydrates after protein and fiber, not alone. This slows glucose absorption and lowers the insulin spike. Compress eating into 2 to 3 real meals, not 6 to 7 mini meals. Every eating event is an insulin event. Choose carbs that come with polyphenols and fiber berries, legumes, lentils, intact whole grains. These blunt insulin response and feed your gut microbiome. Walk for 10-15 minutes after meals. This simple habit can reduce post-meal glucose by up to 30%. No gym required. Now here's where longevity gets interesting. Lower insulin doesn't just protect metabolism. It protects your blood vessels, brain, and immune system. Insulin resistance damages the endothelium, increases clot risk, and accelerates cognitive decline. This is why type 2 diabetes is associated with increased Alzheimer's risk, sometimes called type 3 diabetes. But here's the empowering part. Insulin sensitivity is reversible. Within weeks of improving meal timing, reducing ultra-processed foods, and moving after meals, insulin signaling improves. Energy stabilizes, cravings decrease, fat loss becomes easier without willpower. If this resonates, make sure you're subscribed, because in the next section, we're going to cover one of the most counterintuitive longevity discoveries of all: why certain plant compounds act like exercise at the cellular level, even if you're not athletic. This is where food becomes information, not just fuel. Here's what's really going on inside your body when we talk about food acting like medicine. And this is one of the most overlooked longevity mechanisms in modern nutrition. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your cells are like a house. Over time, trash builds up: damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, broken cellular parts. If the trash isn't taken out regularly, the house starts to break down faster. In biology, that cleanup process is called autophagy, and it's one of the strongest predictors of healthy aging. Now, here's the surprising part. You don't need extreme fasting or intense exercise to activate autophagy. What the research shows is that specific plant compounds, called polyphenols, can switch on the same cellular repair pathways. This discovery comes directly from Nobel Prize winning work on autophagy and cellular recycling. Polyphenols mildly stress your cells in a good way. This is known as hormesis, a small stress that makes the system stronger. It's the same principle behind exercise. You stress the muscle just enough and it adapts. Foods rich in polyphenols activate AMPK, inhibit overactive mTOR, reduce inflammation, and enhance mitochondrial efficiency. In plain language, they tell your cells to clean up, repair, and function younger. Some of the most powerful sources include extra virgin olive oil, green tea, dark berries, cocoa, coffee, cruciferous vegetables, legumes, and lentils. Notice something important here. None of these foods are extreme, none are exotic, and none require restriction. Longevity isn't about punishment, it's about biological signaling. Now let's clear up a common mistake. People hear plant compounds and think fruit juice, smoothies, or processed health foods, but when you remove fiber, you remove the benefit. Fiber slows absorption, feeds beneficial gut bacteria, and allows polyphenols to reach the colon, where they're converted into even more powerful metabolites. Here's what's really fascinating. Your gut microbiome doesn't just digest food. It creates longevity compounds from polyphenols. These metabolites reduce systemic inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, and protect DNA from oxidative damage. So if your gut health is compromised, even a perfect diet won't deliver the full benefits. Here's a simple, realistic protocol. Aim for 30+ different plant foods per week, not per day, per week. Variety matters more than volume. Include at least one polyphenol-rich food per meal. Olive oil, drizzle, berries, herbs, spices. Small additions make a big impact. Avoid ultra-processed foods labeled plant-based. If it comes in a package with a long ingredient list, it's not helping your microbiome. Eat slowly and chew thoroughly. Digestion starts in the mouth. Poor digestion equals poor nutrient signaling. Now here's the big takeaway. Longevity foods don't add years directly. They remove the friction that accelerates aging: inflammation, insulin resistance, oxidative stress, and impaired cellular repair. And this is why people in long-lived populations don't obsess over macros. They eat simply, consistently, and in ways that support cellular cleanup every single day. If this is making sense so far, stay with me, because next we're going to talk about a daily habit that outperforms supplements, biohacks, and even genetics when it comes to living past 100. And almost nobody is doing it correctly. Here's what's really going on inside your body when it comes to how often you eat, not what you eat. Most people assume longevity is about superfoods, but the research keeps pointing to something more basic and more powerful: metabolic rhythm. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your metabolism like a city. During the day, traffic is moving, deliveries are happening, energy is being used. At night, the city needs quiet hours, time for repairs, cleanup crews, and maintenance. If traffic never stops, the city degrades faster. Your body works the same way. When you eat constantly, snacks, late dinners, grazing, insulin stays elevated. And when insulin is high, your body cannot access fat, cannot repair efficiently, and cannot enter deep cellular maintenance mode. Here's what the research shows is critical for longevity: daily periods of low insulin, not starvation, not extremes, just structured breaks. This is why time-restricted eating consistently shows benefits in blood sugar control, inflammation reduction, mitochondrial health, and even gene expression linked to aging. Here's what's really fascinating. Even Nobel Prize level aging research shows that cells need time without nutrients to activate repair genes. This doesn't happen during constant feeding, even if the food is healthy. Now, this is where many people make a mistake. They try fasting while still eating late at night, sleeping poorly, and stressing their nervous system. That cancels out many benefits. Longevity isn't about skipping breakfast for bragging rights. It's about aligning eating with your circadian biology. Here's a simple, sustainable protocol that works with physiology, not against it. Finish your last meal at least 3 hours before sleep. This alone improves insulin sensitivity and sleep quality. Aim for a 12-14 hour overnight eating break. Not aggressive, just consistent. Eat your largest meals earlier in the day. Your insulin sensitivity is highest in the morning and early afternoon. Keep evenings light and protein forward. Heavy carbs late at night disrupt melatonin and growth hormone release. Now let's talk about why this matters for living longer. When insulin drops, your body shifts into fat-burning mode. But more importantly, growth hormone rises, inflammation markers fall, and autophagy increases. This is the internal environment where aging slows. And here's the part that surprises people. You don't need to eat less overall to live longer. You need to eat with timing intelligence. In fact, populations with the highest longevity don't eat tiny portions. They eat normal meals, but they stop eating earlier, eat socially, and allow daily metabolic rest. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I break down complex health science like this every day into practical tools you can actually use. Now, in the next section, we're going to address a deeply misunderstood topic: protein. Because the same nutrient that builds muscle can also accelerate aging if you get the timing and source wrong, and this is where most people unknowingly sabotage their longevity goals. Let me explain protein and longevity with a simple whiteboard-style idea. Think of protein like construction material. You need it to build muscle, enzymes, hormones, and immune cells. But if construction crews are running 24/7, the city never enters repair mode. Noise stays high. Cleanup never happens. That's exactly how protein works inside your body. Protein activates a growth pathway called mTOR. mTOR is essential. Without it, you lose muscle, bone, and resilience. But when mTOR is constantly stimulated, aging accelerates. Here's what's really going on inside your body. As we age, especially after 40 or 50, we tend to either eat too little protein and lose muscle, or eat protein all day long, never letting repair pathways turn on. Both are a problem. What the research shows is that protein timing matters just as much as protein amount. Longevity-focused research, including work tied to Nobel Prize-winning discoveries on cellular repair, shows that alternating growth periods with repair periods is key to extending lifespan. Protein should be pulsed, not constant. Here's the practical takeaway. Instead of spreading protein evenly across 5 to 6 eating events, aim for 2 solid protein-containing meals, ideally earlier in the day. This does 3 powerful things. It stimulates muscle protein synthesis efficiently. It prevents constant mTOR activation. It allows autophagy, cellular cleanup, to occur between meals. Let me give you an example. Someone eating a protein bar mid-morning, chicken at lunch, nuts in the afternoon, yogurt at night, and late-night snacks never gives their cells a break. Insulin stays elevated, mTOR stays on, repair stays off. Now compare that to someone who eats a protein-rich late breakfast, a balanced early dinner, and then stops eating. Same calories, completely different biology. Now here's where food quality matters. Not all proteins send the same longevity signals. Plant-forward proteins, fish, fermented foods, and collagen-rich sources tend to activate growth pathways more gently than ultra-processed protein powders or constant red meat grazing. That doesn't mean you must avoid animal protein. It means you should use it strategically. A simple, longevity-aligned protein protocol. Prioritize protein earlier in the day, aim for 25-40 gram per main meal, adjust for body size. Avoid late-night protein snacking. Include plant-based protein days during the week. This balances muscle preservation with cellular repair. And here's a key point people miss. You don't slow aging by suppressing growth forever. You slow aging by cycling growth and repair. That rhythm, build, then clean, is what keeps tissues young. If this breakdown is helpful, consider subscribing. I post evidence-based strategies like this daily to help you live stronger, longer, and with more energy. In the next section, we're going to talk about something even more surprising. The foods associated with longevity are not exotic superfoods. They're deeply connected to blood vessel health and inflammation control. And once you understand that, the entire longevity puzzle starts to click. Let me explain longevity with another simple analogy. This time, think of your body like a city. Your organs are the neighborhoods. Your cells are the homes. But your blood vessels, they're the roads. If the roads crack, clog, or collapse, it doesn't matter how beautiful the neighborhoods are. Nothing functions well for long. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Most people think aging starts with wrinkles, gray hair, or weak muscles. But biologically, aging accelerates when the inner lining of your blood vessels, the endothelium, stops working properly. This lining controls blood flow, oxygen delivery, nutrient transport, inflammation levels, even immune surveillance. And here's the key insight from decades of longevity research. You are only as young as your blood vessels. What the research shows is that populations who live the longest, including blue zone regions, don't just eat fewer calories. They eat foods that protect and regenerate the endothelium. And this is where the not what you think part comes in. Longevity isn't built on protein shakes, multivitamins, or exotic supplements. It's built on polyphenols, plant compounds that act like maintenance crews for your blood vessels. Let me explain this with a whiteboard-style visual. Imagine your blood vessel lining as a Teflon-coated surface. When it's smooth, blood flows effortlessly. When it's damaged, inflammation sticks, cholesterol oxidizes, and plaque forms. Polyphenols help restore that non-stick surface. They increase nitric oxide, which improves blood flow, reduce oxidative stress, calm immune overactivation, improve insulin sensitivity. This directly impacts longevity because poor blood flow accelerates cognitive decline, heart disease, kidney dysfunction, erectile dysfunction, fatigue, and brain fog. Now here's the fascinating part. Some of the strongest polyphenol-rich foods linked to longevity are incredibly simple and accessible. For example, green tea, dark berries, extra virgin olive oil, cocoa, high flavanol, not sugary chocolate, cruciferous vegetables, fermented plant foods. These foods don't just add antioxidants. They turn on protective gene pathways that slow biological aging. Research tied to Nobel Prize winning discoveries in cellular signaling shows that these compounds activate stress-resilient systems, the same systems triggered by fasting and exercise. That means food can mimic longevity signals. Another overlooked mechanism, gut-blood vessel communication. Polyphenols feed beneficial gut bacteria. Those bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids that travel through the bloodstream and reduce systemic inflammation. So when people ask, why does diet matter so much for aging? This is the answer. Food isn't just fuel, it's information. Now let's make this practical. A simple longevity-aligned food framework. Add, don't subtract, start by including one polyphenol-rich food daily. Use olive oil as a primary fat. Drink unsweetened green tea or coffee earlier in the day. Aim for plant diversity. Different colors, different benefits. Notice what's missing here, extremes. Longevity diets are not rigid. They're consistent, and consistency is what keeps blood vessels flexible, responsive, and young. One more important point. Many people eat healthy but combine these foods with constant sugar spikes, late-night eating, and chronic stress, which cancels the benefits. Longevity foods work best when paired with stable blood sugar, adequate sleep, regular movement. Think synergy, not hacks. In the next section, we're going to talk about something that surprises almost everyone. Why eating less often, not just eating better, may be one of the most powerful longevity tools ever discovered. And once you understand that rhythm, you'll see aging through a completely different lens. Let me explain this next piece with a simple analogy most people have never considered. Imagine your body as a busy factory that never shuts down. Machines are running 24/7. Products are being made nonstop, and there's barely any time for maintenance. At first, everything seems fine, but over time, parts wear out faster, errors accumulate, and breakdowns become inevitable. That's what constant eating does inside the body. Here's what's really going on inside your cells. Every time you eat, insulin rises. Insulin is not bad, it's essential, but it is a growth signal. Growth signals tell cells to build, divide, and store energy. That's great when you're young, but chronically elevated growth signals accelerate aging. Longevity science shows us something counterintuitive. Aging slows when growth signals periodically turn off. This is where Nobel Prize recognized research into cellular recycling, autophagy, completely changed how we understand lifespan. Autophagy is your body's internal cleanup system. It's how cells remove damaged proteins, recycle dysfunctional mitochondria, clear inflammatory debris, improve cellular efficiency. Think of it as cellular housekeeping. But here's the key rule. Autophagy cannot fully activate when insulin is constantly elevated. In other words, if you're eating from morning until night, even healthy foods, your cells never get a chance to clean house. What the research shows is that periods of fasting, even short ones, dramatically improve cellular resilience, metabolic flexibility, and longevity markers. And no, this is not about starvation. Let me clarify that. Longevity fasting is about timing, not deprivation. A simple 12-14-hour overnight fast already activates measurable improvements in insulin sensitivity and mitochondrial function. Extending that to 16 hours enhances autophagy further, especially in the liver and vascular system. This matters because the liver controls blood sugar regulation, the liver clears hormones and toxins, the liver influences inflammation and fat metabolism. If the liver never gets a break, aging accelerates. Here's a practical, realistic protocol that aligns with longevity research. Finish your last meal at least 3 hours before bed. Consume water, herbal tea, or black coffee during the fasting window. Break the fast with protein, fiber, and healthy fats, not sugar. Avoid late-night snacking, even if calories are low. This alone improves sleep quality, morning energy, and metabolic health. Now here's where this gets even more powerful. Fasting and polyphenol-rich foods activate the same longevity pathways. They both stimulate AMPK and sirtuins, enzymes linked to DNA repair and cellular stress resistance. So when you combine a daily fasting window, polyphenol-rich foods, stable blood sugar, you're stacking longevity signals without medications. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day to help you understand how your body actually works.